Welcome back. This lesson is an introduction to Roman numerals. So in this lesson we're going to talk about three Roman numerals. I, which equals 1, X, which equals 10, and C, which equals 100. So notice these are the first three places in the Hindu Arabic numerals, ones, tens, and hundreds. So when we write Roman numerals, we write them from largest to smallest, with some exceptions that we'll get into in a later lesson. But for now, these numbers are going to be written from largest to smallest, and their values are added. So let's look at an example. What does CII represent? So CII is equal to, let's scroll back up a little bit. C is 100, so that's a 100, plus I is worth 1, so plus 1, and then another I, which is worth another 1. So 100 plus 1, which is what we have written right here. CII means 100 plus 1, and that equals 102. So in other words, CII represents 102. Going the other direction is a little bit more complicated. So let's say we want to write 23 as Roman numerals. So what we're going to do is take 23 and write it as the tens place plus the ones place. So we're going to expand it as 20 plus 3. And now 20 is two tens, right? It's a 10 plus a 10. And a 3 is three ones. So plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Now each 10 is an x, so we have x, x, and each 1 is an I, so I. We get x, x, I, which represents 23 in Roman numerals. Now we're going to practice a few questions. So let's hit new question on converting from Hindu Arabic numerals to Roman numerals. So we've got 213. Let me increase the size of my screen here so you can see it. 200 would be two C's because that's two 100s. A 10, so that's an X, and then three ones is I. Correct. Let's go with a new question. Okay, so we have 100, which is C. Now let's say we get one wrong, just to see what happens. So 321 is CCC, XX, and then there should be an I, but let's say I forget to write this I. It just tells us what to do next time. So try again and put one C for each 100, one X for each 10, and one I for each 1. And notice that I forgot the one I. So 131 would be C, XXX, and I. Okay, so let's go on to looking at the other question. We want to write a Roman numeral in Hindu Arabic numerals. So we're given something in Roman numerals, and now we write it in Hindu Arabic numerals, which are the usual digits that we use. So CCC, each C represents 100, and there are three of them, so we have 3 hundreds. There are no X's, so we have 0 in the tens place. And then we have two ones, because there's two I's, and each one represents 1, so there's 2, so that gives us 302. So in this case, there's 300s, a 10, and a 1, so this represents 311. And again, if I get one wrong, so let's say I put a 200, and there should be a 1 here, and then there should be 3 ones, 13, but let's say I miscount and I put 212. Again, all it's going to do is tell you how to get the correct answer. So the number in the hundreds place should be the number of C's. The number in the tens place is the number of X's, and it could be 0 if there are no X's. And the number in the ones place is the number of I's. And again, it could be 0 if there are no i's. So here we go, this one's 1. Let's find one that also ends in 0. So something like this, we've got 100 and 2 10s, but in Hindu-Arabic numerals, this doesn't represent 1 100 and 2 10s, right? This represents a 10 and 2 1s. So we have to put a 0 when there are no i's. So 120 represents 1 100, 2 10s, and no 1s.